Hey guys, welcome back to Warhammer Weekend Times. I'm your host Stan, and today I've got a 1v1 field battle between myself as the Children of Nurgle, and my opponent is going to be Sipi Sapo, playing as the Warriors of Khorne. Now, every so often, whenever Sipi and I sit down and play some Call of Warhammer, what we sometimes like to do is do these random battles where you there's a button basically on when you're choosing your armies, where your selectable army roster is, and it just should be, I believe, to the left of that box, and it just says randomized army, and the game will basically pick a random army for you, and it's kind of fun because it puts out a lot of this kind of counter pick strategies that you see in kind of Call of Warhammer or just kind of any Total War game. You really don't know what you're going to get. We try to do it on honesty that our first random army that is the one we go with. We don't try to, just shuffle through until we get something really good. But, I mean, sometimes it's fun and interesting. Other times it's super one-sided in terms of army strength. But, this was an interesting battle, in my opinion. A lot of times you'll bring units that you would otherwise never bring just because they're too expensive to you, just justify bringing, or there's just something that you haven't seen yet or something like that. But, anyway, guys, let's go ahead and go over the army comps. But I've got a single Great Unclean One. I've also got a unit of Ungor Herd up in front, a unit of Marauder Desolators, Marauder Axe Throwers, one unit of Nurgle Chosen. I've got a unit of Sorcerers of Nurgle, some Dragon Ogres, and Marauder Horsemen, and that's it. That's my army, guys. I have 8 units. That's what the CPU chose for me. If we go over here and look at Sipi Sapo's unit, or his army, he has 2 units of Ungor Herds, a couple units of Marauder Axe Throwers, a couple units of Marauder Desolators. He's got a Hell Cannon of Chaos, some Skull Crushers of Khorne, a unit of Chaos Ogres. Over here, I think he's got some Minotaur, and then a unit of Marauder Horsemen. So he has a small army as well, but honestly, he has a much bigger army, a little more balanced. So we'll see how this kind of plays out. But my Great Unclean One is fighting his Bloodthirster of Khorne. Oh, he's also got a Bloodthirster of Khorne, which we saw earlier. And we are dueling them to the death in the center of the field. He is taking some very, very rude shots as we are having our duel. Just kind of a warning shot there, I guess. Didn't hit anybody. But I think he's actually winding up for another Hell Cannon shot. And I believe his dwarf is about to give the signal, as we shall wait and see. Yeah, there he goes. And he is going to fire another shot. This one, however, is going to draw blood. So, yeah, that I was like, WTF, mate. So, I'm going to move up my Sorcerers of Nurgle and maybe try and see what I can do. I've never brought Sorcerers of Nurgle ever before. In playing Call of Warhammer. I think they're either 16,000 or 18,000 gold. Very expensive unit, and I would really have a hard time, in my opinion, justifying that much gold or picking them with Chaos, where Chaos units are already pretty expensive if you want to have a pretty sturdy army core. But I am still fighting with my Great Unclean One against his Bloodthirster of Khorne. Usually not, I mean, it sounds like it's a cool duel, but when they're at full health and they first start going, they honestly have enough HP and high enough defenses to sit here for a long time and wail on each other before they actually are able to do any real detectable damage. But I'm going to get into a position where I can fire with my Sorcerers of Nurgle. They have a really good range, and I'm going to fire into his Ungor Herd and his Marauder Axe Throwers. They are already going to take a bit of a morale hit from that volley, and I think I'm going to go ahead and give him another volley just from 2 volleys earlier. But he is going to actually go ahead and start committing at this point, but my Sorcerers are firing in, and look at this, his Ungor Herds are already routing. This Ungor Herd unit is routing as well. These Marauder Axe Throwers are going to soon be routing as well, so I've already routed 3 of his units, and I've done a ton of damage to them. Also, look at all these dead Marauders. I'm going to be targeting this Marauder Axe Thrower unit. He is going to rout there, and then this other Marauder Desolator unit is going to rout here. These are more abusable in my opinion, than the Screaming Skull Catapult ever has been. I mean, this is just ludicrous. We are on huge scaling, so there are a lot. There are 10, and that has a lot to do with it. They do have a set amount of morale that they reduce per I guess, missile. So when you have 10 of those, even if they're only at like a 10% of the morale or 10 morale, I think that's how I understand it. I don't know if morale sits at a numerical or percent value in terms of how units are effective. But even then, that's, 10 of those firing in. That's a lot of morale damage to be inflicted. Over here in the center, my Marauder Desolators and my Great Unclean One are going to be fighting very arduously against the Splitthirster of Khorne. He is now getting kind of bloodied up. I don't think my Great Unclean One is bloody. He is, bloody-ish, but that's just how he normally looks. You can see the blood kind of spattered on the wings of this Bloodthirster and kind of all over his body. He's taking a lot of damage. Over here, the Skull Crushers of Khorne are going to move in and charge against my Sorcerers of Nurgle, killing about half of them in my unit. I really need to get these guys out of here as soon as I can. I'm going to basically reinforce with my Dragon Ogres, hopefully get some kills on these Skull Crushers of Khorne, and then I am also going to reinforce with my Marauder Horsemen, and then be able to slip my Sorcerers of Nurgle out just in time. Sipi Sapo has got a lot of his units that were routing back. I wasn't able to really pursue them too effectively, but I'm going to fire again with my Sorcerers, and that is going to rout a bit of his units, as well as some of mine. My Marauder Desolators are going to be routing here. It doesn't look like these Chaos Ogres are taking too much. Oh, I take that back. They are taking a lot of morale damage. It didn't seem like it was that bad at first, but now it looks like it's definitely stacking up, and that whole unit of Chaos Ogres are going to rout as well. So, as soon as they get back into combat, I am going to push them right back out. This kind of is a cheese tactic, but it's literally the Sorcerers of Nurgle are the backbone, legs, arms of my army. I mean, they are so essential. I have some Dragon Ogres and a couple other kind of scaries in my roster, but honestly, it's nothing that he doesn't quite have access to either. I think I'm going to finish off some of his Skull Crushers of Khorne. Those underperform a little bit, in my opinion, considering how expensive they are. I think Dragon Ogres are 500 gold cheaper and have considerably better stats. But again, guys, everything is going to be 100% completely turned on its head, rebalanced. I don't know if some units are going... I mean, kind of, I guess, like, ratio-wise, certain units are going to kind of maintain how powerful they are, but I don't know how strong, like, swordsmen are going to be in comparison to marauders. I think in the lore, marauders are supposed to be a bit tougher than just the standard swordsman unit, but swordsmen pretty much just crap all over marauders as it is right now. I'm going to take my Dragon Ogres and use them very lethally if I can. Going to be moving them in here, getting them involved against his Marauder Axe Throwers and some of his Ungor Herd, some of these lighter infantry. I want to get these out of here as soon as I can. They are very weak, but in great numbers they can do a lot of damage to my units, especially considering how outnumbered I am. So I can get a lot of my units kind of stun-locked. I'm going to be charging my Ogres through, and they are going to be taking so many prisoners. Just all these Ungors that they're going to knock over are going to be taken prisoner. They're not going to become able to come back from routing, and that is going to really kind of go in my favor. My Marauder Horsemen, we're going to be charging in, trying to pick off some more of these Ungor herds. But, oh, there we go, guys. Look at that. That was very brief. I almost missed it. But the Great Unclean One's actually firing its missiles. I don't know if we're going to get another shot of that. There we go. One more shot of that this game. I've never seen the Great Unclean One actually fire its missiles or its projectiles. I don't know how I was able to trigger it this game. I don't think I was doing anything with the fire at will command or anything like that. I think he just kind of got into a position where it was just the right range, and he was starting to fire. So that's kind of what it looks like, guys. He's got a huge cannon in his belly that's just hiding under all that good stuff there. But I don't think I'm going to get another shot off this game. That was honestly one of the really cool moment, in my opinion, or a really monumental moment, in my opinion, for me anyway, in Call of Warhammer, because yeah, I've never seen the Great Unclean One actually fire its projectiles. Really cool. I think technically all of them are considered missile cav. I know that's because they are considered elephants, but that is kind of a confirmation the Great Unclean One does have actually a you know, a missile you know, shot and a projectile that does damage and stuff. I don't know how effective it is. Obviously, we didn't get to see too much of it this game, but it was really cool to actually see him fire. Now, Sipi Sapo does have his Minotaurs over here. This is basically a death sentence for my Great Unclean One if he's able to get all his Minotaurs in here swinging at me at the same time. I think you guys, if y'all watch that other replay I put up very recently, where it was basically, I think it was Khorne versus, oh my god, it was Khorne versus Nurgle. It was the Beastman army versus a different kind of army composition. But yeah, I was able to chew through giants very quickly. However, it doesn't look like these Minotaurs are really swinging that fast or consistently against my Great Unclean One. They might need to be just a little bit closer, but my Great Unclean One evidently can swing at them and do a little bit of damage as well. I think one Minotaur is going to go down there. If we kind of span out a little farther, a lot of Sipi Sapo's units have been routed or killed at this point. There's not a whole lot left on the field. I think pretty much all he's got left are those Minotaurs. He had one over here. I think he's got another one that's kind of isolated out with my Nurgle chosen. And this is kind of what I was talking about when you have like a single Minotaur kind of involved with all of these smaller units hitting at it. It's not going to be able to get its swings off, and it's just going to get stone locked until it's dead. And there it goes. That Minotaur is going to die, and there's only a few left over here. The Dragon Ogres moved in. I think they got about 2 or 3 kills on the charge. But these Minotaurs are going to be doing everything they can to take as many of these units down. Dragon Ogres fighting against the Minotaurs, doing a lot of damage, but it is not going to be enough, or at least not for the Minotaur. It's not going to be, the Minotaur's not going to be able to do enough to save himself, because these Dragon Ogres mean serious business, and they are going to go down. And I think Sipi Sapo has one dude left, his single Marauder Axe Thrower, which is going to very bravely go to his death. Yep, here we go. He's moving on up. I think he's going to try to throw his axe. He's going to reel back. Here he goes. Is he going to get it? Is he going to throw? He's not going to get it. He's going to get crunched. He's just going to get trampled by Dragon Ogres. So that was it, guys. That's the game. I hope y'all liked it. I enjoyed it just because I kind of had to be forced into a really difficult situation, and kind of through, you know, just finding out how amazing Sorcerers of Nurgle are. Definitely a unit that I would ban. It's just too good. I mean, unless you're fighting against like Tomb Kings or Vampire Counts, if you're able to rout an army that quickly, that's really almost game breaking. I mean, he had 40% more units than I did. So let's take a look at the kill count. 382 kills with the Sorcerers of Nurgle. 201 with the Dragon Ogres. No surprise there. They're a very good unit, and everything else is just kind of subpar. But again, guys, only 8 units. The random, you know, army picker is not merciful. But the Sorcerers of Nurgle definitely saved me today. It was really cool to see the Great Unclean One fire his projectiles. Never seen it do that before. I don't know if that's a fix in the 1.5 or not, or if that's just happened to be a fluke and he was able to fire. Never been able to get the Great Unclean One to fire before. But anyway, guys, that was the battle. I hope you all liked it. Hopefully there will be some more content coming soon. But yeah, that's about it for today, guys. I will see y'all next time.